Hello, and welcome to WTF Stories and Advice. I'm Caroline Cranshaw.
And I'm Daryl Gove.
And we're both hypnotherapists and fucking crazy know-it-alls.
Yeah, exactly, especially you.
Hey! You, I would say, you're almost as big of a know-it-all as me.
That is true.
It is true. What's new? Have you left your house at all?
Yeah, the second we went down a level, I drove to the beach and had a walk on the beach. But then I got really mad that it was such a special occasion to be able to go to the beach. But then, I have to put things in perspective and go, oh my God, I'm on one of the most beautiful beaches in the world walking while some other people are holed up in an apartment or dying in hospitals. So pretty much life is good.
Yeah, it's a funny time in the world, isn't it? As an American living in New Zealand, I love living in New Zealand, and my heart breaks for Americans and the rest of the world where it's really bad. It's just, it's hard to kind of comprehend what the hell's going on.
Well, syphilis is just such a bad disease. It's spreading so quickly. One of the reasons...
Syphilis. No, it's COVID.
Oh.
Syphilis is easy to get rid of. No, I'm just kidding.
I thought you were talking about syphilis.
Did you know that New Zealand is having a huge outbreak of syphilis?
Yeah, and do you know why I think that is?
Why?
PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. It's to stop the spread of HIV, which, I've got to say must be a good thing. But of course, pretty much most of the guys that I know that are gay are taking that and not using condoms anymore. So what that means is that they're going to get whatever other sexually transmitted disease that a condom stopped, and hence new outbreak.
That's, yeah. Well, where the fastest growing group of people that are getting syphilis is? What age group? It's 70 plus.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going rampant around rest homes.
Through sex or through
Through sex.
Good on them.
Granny's getting randy, and yeah.
Wow.
Then they don't worry about getting pregnant. So yeah, they're all getting some bad STDs. It's not good.
No. I mean, as you say, luckily you can treat it just with antibiotics, I think. But yeah. Good on them. You get it on, Granny, but wear a condom, a femidom.
Yeah. I know. So check your grandparents, make sure they have a good stock of condoms, and explain the importance of, even though they can't get pregnant or have to worry about that, they still have to worry about STDs.
I like it. Can I go and do a talk at a rest home about STDs?
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
That'd be so fun.
I once had this client who was the most lovely gentleman. He had to have been, I think he was 88. And I think he had insomnia, and that's why he came to me. But he also, I said, is there anything else you want me to kind of put into the visualization or anything else you want to address? And he was like, well, it's a bit embarrassing, but, I've got a bit of erectile dysfunction. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And he starts telling me how he had this lady friend who he would visit, and he just wasn't able to get it up. So he was spending a lot of time pleasuring her, but nothing was happening for him, and he was a bit disappointed. So I told him to go get some Viagra. Get that shit digital.
And did you get any feedback?
Yeah, it worked a treat. He was very thrilled. He didn't know that he could just go to the pharmacy or the chemist and buy it over the counter, which you can in New Zealand. I don't know if you can do that in other countries, but yeah, here you just have to ask at at your local drugstore, and you can get it.
No. Interesting.
Yes.
I remember in the health shop, we used to sell a lot of supplements to men and women in their 70s and 80s for erectile dysfunction or to increase the libido and that kind of thing. And I remember just thinking, because I started working there when I was 21, and I was thinking, there's hope. We get to have sex until we're 90, at least. This is great.
Oh, I remember one of my most vivid Thanksgiving dinner memories was I would have been about maybe 14, 15 years old. And my grandfather, who was a lovely man, tall, handsome, he was incredible. He had a stroke a couple of years before, and it was a very severe stroke, and he was paralyzed on half of his body. This Thanksgiving, somehow the topic got to sex. And in my family, there was no holds bars, right? You could literally discuss anything. You probably would, there should be some like pretty serious debate, but I think that's part of the reason why I'm a therapist, and it's, impossible to shock me, right? Because I've heard it all. So my grandmother starts going on about how, well, just because the body's not willing doesn't mean that modern science can't overcome it, and her sex life is not going to be over.
Yeah.
So my grandmother is talking about how she wants to continue to enjoy this great sex life that her and my grandfather had, but since he's had the stroke, that he's having difficulty getting it up.
Lovely.
And so she goes, my poor grandfather starts turning like bright red and just literally wants to slide from his wheelchair to under the table. And so she goes and she gets these brochures, and that their two options were a penis pump. Both involved surgery. So one was this penis pump that literally, it was like a balloon that went into the penis, and you could and it had this like little pump thing that was on the outside of the body that you'd pump it up. So that was option one. And option,
you could inflate your penis.
You could inflate it like a balloon, apparently.
Wow.
And then option two was that they would insert this kind of like bendable metal rod. I mean, from what I can remember, this is a long time ago. And so it was always going to be hard, and you would just kind of bend it up and down. Yeah. So
whoa.
My poor grandfather just lets her go on. He's looking redder and angrier. And finally he starts banging his fist, and he's like, shut up. It's just like,
yeah. Not a conversation for the dinner table.
Oh, for Thanksgiving dinner with the whole family gathered around. And I think everyone was so shocked that she was bringing this up and showing us those brochures that no one really said anything, because we were all just like, wow, oh my God, really? Yeah. So
I'm assuming this is pre-Viagra days.
It must be. I mean, I don't know how long Viagra's been around, but
I just remember it making the news, it was really big in the news when it came out, and could have been in the 90s or the early 90s, but probably the 90s. But it was a savior for all these men. I did not know what they were going to have to go through before Viagra. That's crazy. But I'm so impressed that you can put a pump and inflate a part of the body.
I know. I mean, it must be just absolutely obsolete surgeries now, I'm assuming. Maybe I should look into it a bit more. I know that, I definitely have some men that have had penile trauma. So that actually you can break your dick. Did you know this?
I've heard of this, yes.
Yeah. So it's like breaking the kind of tendons, or someone just rides you like the rodeo and comes down a bit too hard. You can snap that shit, and it's not good. So for some men, they have to use an injection into the penis, and then that way it gets up there. But thank God for Viagra, huh?
Yeah.
What a random fucking topic.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's probably going to affect most men as you get older, right?
It's just natural.
You get, the more men are going to experience it. And so we just need to kind of let everybody know when the time comes, you've got options.
Yeah. Some other things I recommend. Obviously hypnosis. And I have several hypnosis for men's sexual issues that you can listen to free on YouTube if you are so inclined, regarding premature ejaculation or erectile dysfunction or just anxiety around sex. But one supplement I definitely recommend is L-arginine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to sell a project called Argin Max, which was just really high doses of L-arginine with a couple of herbs in there as well. But then if you're prone to cold sores, apparently that can aggravate them. So
exactly. Yeah, that's what I'll warn men. I'll be like, oh, there's a natural route, because some men don't want to do Viagra, or they can't take it. There's a few men that get bad headaches, or they get this blue vision or something. So I'll say L-arginine, but if you have the herpes virus, you really don't want to take it. And you can see the kind of the thought brain ticking over, and what were some other ones you recommend? Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. The other thing I'll just say while I think of it is things that are quite important is selenium.
Yeah.
Because selenium definitely helps with making testosterone, and zinc as well.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
The herbally, I mean, obviously if you take herbs, you got to make sure they're right for you. Check with whoever you're getting them from. But tribulus is one. Horny goat weed.
Yeah.
Another one. And you'll often get them in formulas. So like a whole bunch of these things all together: zinc, selenium, horny goat weed, tribulus, arginine, and then like just take it all.
Yeah, exactly.
But this has got me thinking, Caroline, you told me about the origins of the vibrator the other day. Have you told it on here?
I don't think I have. No.
I bet, because, that's always going to be hard, right? So I don't know if you feel like it. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Well, I guess I just assume everyone knows this, but yeah, I was telling it in class, wasn't I? I was like, because we teach hypnotherapy, and so obviously at the moment we're doing it online, and somehow we got on the topic. I do like to steer the topic towards sex a lot. That's one of my things. I'm a sex therapist as well, so hello. Yeah, so with women, we were talking about the origins of hysteria, weren't we? Because we were talking about different therapists from the past and Freud, and kind of educating with the history of psychotherapy and hypnotherapy. And yeah, hysteria was a condition that a lot of women were diagnosed with. I think starting in, the 1800s, kind of late 1800s. So hysteria meant wandering womb. So they'd have this condition where it was diagnosed by doctors, and it was that their womb was like wandering around their abdomen and causing them to become hysterical. And what they found, the most effective treatment was pelvic massage. And they would have this release when they massaged their pelvic floor and their clitoris well enough. And their hysteria would be, like they would have this kind of release of it, and it would get better for a little while. But they seem to need like weekly, or even some women would have almost daily treatments of this. And so the doctors got, I know. So the doctors found that their arms got really tired, and it became like there's a huge demand for service, right? Like all these women were lining up wanting this treatment because they just felt so much better with their hysteria released. And they tried to get the nurses to do it, and the nurses didn't really want to do it. The women, the midwives, they were not interested in doing this treatment. And so, though some were very interested and very good at it as well. And so that's how the vibrator was invented. They invented a vibrator to manually stimulate these women to have their release of their hysteria. And that way the doctors could just hold this vibrator up, and I mean, they must have been like kickstarted and had like a petrol engine back then. But yeah, that is, you have doctors to thank for their lazy arms that we all can have a vibrator now.
Gosh, that is just such a story. I mean, how convenient. Oh, this woman definitely needs me to fondle her for the next 20 minutes. That's her problem. She's not being fondled by me enough. And I mean, I've got to say, if I was a woman in the 1800s and my doctor looked like one of the ones out of ER, then I would make a point of being hysterical.
Well, I mean, women's sexuality was completely unexplored, really. Like, it was like, why even look at that? Yeah, it was just women are for receiving sex and for giving birth. But like Freud, I guess how we got onto the topic of this actually was talking about how Freud believed that a orgasm that was derived from stimulating the clitoris was an immature orgasm. That, if a woman needed her clitoris stimulated, that she was not grown up and she was immature. It was very girlish. And to be a real woman, you needed to have an orgasm through penetrative sex without stimulating the clitoris.
What dick. Like, what absolute...
And that we're all jealous of penises. Like, come on, fuck you, Freud, is what I say. He did a lot of women disservice because they say 70 to 80%, I think it could possibly be higher, of women need clitoral stimulus to have an orgasm, that you can't just hop on and pound away and that a woman's just, amazingly going to have an orgasm. The clitoris is like the head of your dick, right? Your clit is your dick and you need it stimulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
got all the sensitive endpoints.
I know.
Not being that intimate with women's anatomy at all. I remember in the past, I had thought that was the only way that women achieved orgasm was with the clitoral stimulation. And because my friend, she had, no, I won't go too deep into that, but basically one day she dated a guy with a giant cock.
Yeah.
And she was like, finally, I got my first orgasm ever from this big cock. and she was just so happy for a month. She was so happy. So she married him, obviously.
Oh, yeah. So obviously he was hitting the right spots, wasn't he? Are they still together?
No.
Yeah.
Because got a big dick isn't the best reason to marry someone.
No.
Although it's one of the reasons.
It's a good one, but it's there's got to be some other stuff there.
Yeah.
Because if the dick stops working, then
what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. You're stuck with an asshole. Yeah. Literally.
Talking about dicks and vibrators, I've got a story for you. It's the story of the voodoo dick.
The voodoo dick?
The voodoo dick, yeah.
Okay.
Right, can I tell it?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So basically there's this guy, and his wife used to cheat on him with his friends a lot, but he stayed with her, and he was going away on a business trip. So he was like, look, I'm better go and get her a new sex toy to keep her kind of stimulated while I'm away. Because otherwise she's just going to get too horny and she's going to like cheat.
Yeah.
So he went to the sex shop and he's like, hey, look, I just need to explain this situation to you. My wife is really, really horny. Whenever I go away in business, she's shagging my friends. Just, can you give me something?
He actually explained that to the sex shop worker. Yeah.
Well, sex shop workers, as you probably know, are very open.
Yes,
people
definitely.
And receptive. So the sex shop worker's like, well, I've got something I could, oh, no, I better not. He's like, no, tell me, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? He's like, well, hold on, like, just close the door. So he closed the front door, locked it, and the shop owner went out the back, got this box and brought it through. He opened it up, and the guy looks at it and goes, it's a dildo. And the shop owner goes, no, just you wait, watch this. Voodoo dick, the door. And the dick jumped up, hopped up into the keyhole of the door and started fucking it really, really hard. And the door was shaking and vibrating and cracks started to appear in the ceiling. And he's like, voodoo dick, the box. And it hopped out, jumped back into the box. Now,
yeah.
The guy was like, I am taking it. And the shop owner's like, I don't think you can afford it. And so they did a bit of haggling, and something like $20,000 later.
Wow.
The guy walks out with this box with the voodoo dick. So he gets home and he goes to his wife, look, here this is. If you get horny and you want to shag my friends, instead of giving them a call, why don't you just take this out? All you have to do, say, voodoo dick, my pussy. And she's like, okay, I got it. So she puts it in her wardrobe. He goes away. About 15 minutes later, she's like, oh, I'm really horny. Maybe I'll call one of his friends. And she's like, well, maybe I'll try this voodoo dick first. So she goes into the wardrobe, pulls out the box, opens it up, goes, voodoo dick, my pussy. And she just sees it jump up, and it just jumps and it slams right into her and throws her back against the bed, and she's like shaking and vibrating, and she's absolutely loving it. She's going wild. And it doesn't take very long before she just has this massive orgasm.
Yeah.
And she's screaming and just having so much fun. And then it keeps going. And she's like, oh, this is good. It's still going. It's still going. So she has another orgasm. And then it keeps going. And she has her third and her fourth. And it won't stop. Now, for a while, she's really, really loving this. But eventually she's like, okay, I'm fucking exhausted. I have to stop this. So she tries to get it out, but she can't get a hold of it. And it's just fucking her and fucking her and fucking her. And she's shaking and shaking. And, oh, there's another orgasm. And she's like, oh, I don't know what to do. So she's like, okay, what am I going to do? So she tries everything she can think of to get it out, but it's not coming out. She's like, shit, I'm going to have to go to hospital because I can't get it out. And so she puts on a night dress, one of the ones that this goes all the way over.
Yeah.
And she hops into her car and she's shaking as she's holding the steering wheel and trying to turn the key to get it on. Just as she pulls out, she has another orgasm, and she kind of drives a bit wonky, and she's sweating and just absolutely exhausted. And Anyway, she has to go onto the motorway to get to the hospital. And so she's going quite fast. And then she has this really, really massive orgasm that just makes her whole body crackle. And she swerves. Now, a policeman sees her and, of course, pulls her over. So it's just like, oh, fuck, I really don't need this. And she's sitting in her car, just waiting for the policeman to come over on the hard shoulder. And she's sitting shaking and shaking and shaking, holding the steering wheel and shaking. And he taps on the window. She opens the window. And he's like, well, what's going on here? I've seen you swerving all over the place and you're shaking like you're drunk or something. It's like, look, I'm not on drugs. I'm not drunk. And she explains to him the story of the voodoo dick.
Yeah.
And the police officer goes, voodoo dick my ass.
Oh, no. You're not going to believe the letter that I had to read to you. I cannot.
Am I not?
No. Just wait.
Okay.
Oh my God. I can't believe it. Okay.
Really? I'm beginning to guess what it could be.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Oh my God. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, that's a very funny story. Obviously, that's a story, right? It is?
Well, I don't know. You know how things get passed down.
Yes.
I heard it from someone.
Okay. All right. Hi, guys. I love the show, and I feel like you're the only people I can turn to for advice at the moment. I've been experiencing something so crazy that I'm not sure if I'm having a mental breakdown or if it's actually happening. Either way, it's not something I feel like I can tell my friends about, or else they might tell my family, who will have me committed. I recently rented a room in a house with a couple of guys who I went to high school with. They got a super cheap rent in a really nice house in the suburbs close to where I work. I was sick of living alone in a studio apartment, and this place seemed too good to pass up. The first night I move in, I had this really vivid dream that we had another roommate who was living there as well. This guy was super hot and just my type. Tall, muscular, sandy blonde hair, bright blue eyes. I remember being disappointed in the dream because I so wanted to hook up with him, and I have been taught not to shit where I eat. The next night, the same guy was in my bedroom, and he was telling me that I was in his old room, and we ended up making out, and it was incredible. I spent the next few days in a daze as all I could think about was this guy. The next night in my dream, we ended up having sex, which seemed like it was all night, and it was the best sex of my life. I woke up feeling like it had definitely happened, but I knew it was a dream. This starts happening every night. In my dreams, I feel like we're falling in love. So, a few days later, I'm washing my car, fantasizing about my dream lover, when a sweet older lady from next door comes by and starts talking to me. She asks me if I know about the family who lived there before me, to which I tell her I didn't. She then proceeds to tell me that the family who lived there before, their handsome 22-year-old son had died of an accidental overdose. So they quickly rented out the house and moved to their beach home to get away.
Ooh.
Yeah. She describes this guy who dies, and it sounds exactly like my dream lover. What the fuck? So I look up the guy's name, and sure enough, there's an obituary and a photo, and I swear to God, it's the same guy. Now, I'm having dreams about him every night. He never answers my questions. I feel like this is actually happening, but I could be having a mental breakdown, and I just don't know what to do.
Oh.
Please help.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. Do you think that's real?
Well, what is real and what isn't real in this world? It's a bit of a strange one. Is she having sex with a ghost? Is she having sex in her dreams? Is a ghost penetrating her dreams? Is a ghost penetrating her body?
She swears it's like the same guy.
But it only happens when she's asleep, right? When she's dreaming.
Yeah. I mean, but she doesn't say she feels like someone's there, the house is haunted. I should write back to her maybe and just be like,
Because it's quite possible like that she saw something about him in the paper, or she'd seen a photo of him, and her unconscious mind, when she moved to that house, put them together because that house was in the photo and triggered her to think about him. Maybe he's like her imago, her dream guy.
Yeah.
And so it's stuck in her unconscious and she's dreaming. But on the other hand, maybe she's having ghost sex.
What? I mean, what are the odds that you're like convinced it's the same guy? But yeah, like you said, maybe she did see his picture in the paper and went, oh, he's super hot. And then because apparently in your dreams, every person in your dreams is actually someone you've seen before. That supposedly, I don't know how you actually can like scientifically prove this, But yeah, it's very possible she had seen his photo. He was super hot. Yeah, we had talked about have we talked about the imago on this show?
No, I don't think so.
No. So there's the imago, and then there's the anima or the animus.
Yes, that's probably more appropriate than.
Well, yeah, there's the imago as well, right? Yeah. So I guess the imago is the blueprint of your like perfect lover, right? Yeah.
It's basically if you were a guy.
Yeah.
If you are a guy, what would you look like if you were a girl?
Yeah. Like, what is because we all, I think, have this like picture in our head of what our ideal masculine kind of type is. And if you're a straight male, then you have your ideal female type. Obviously, if you're gay, it's probably how you would be if you were the opposite. There's always some kind of blueprint there, isn't there, of your idealized kind of lover. And then we meet them and then we realize that they're not, they're their own person and they have their own flaws and they're not the projection that we put onto them. But maybe she's just lonely, but maybe she is having sex with a ghost. I don't know.
So is she writing to tell us the story or is she asking for advice? I think at the beginning, did she mention she's worried that
she's asking for advice. I mean, she says, please help. Yeah. And saying that if she tells anybody that she feels like she's going to be committed.
I mean, I don't think that having dreams about having sex is a committable offense anymore.
No.
Which back in the 60s, probably you'd get put to an asylum for that.
Yeah.
But you would get put to asylum for being depressed, for having postnatal depression.
Yeah, exactly.
Or for being gay. But I think if you have a therapist, that you can trust, they're not going to commit you for having a dream and they're going to listen to you.
Exactly.
Or maybe if you've got a close friend. I find speaking, if you're religious or even if you're not, speaking to someone in the Catholic Church is really helpful if there's something that may be related to spirit, because they tend to be open to spirits causing trouble and doing things, and you might get a listening ear there.
Yeah, I just can't imagine going down. I mean, hey, I went and talked to the local priest when I was having clients that were talking in other voices and claiming to be demons and that was who was the most helpful for me, actually. But he just said, here's some holy water and say, 10 Hail Marys and put a crucifix up in your office, which didn't really make it go away. Oh, no, what he did say, though, what did help was he said, you can ask God to make it stop. And that was helpful, actually. So, okay, here's the thing. I don't think either way you're crazy, right? Because it's in a dream. It's not like you really believe it. I mean, there's actually a disorder called spectrophilia, maybe I shouldn't call it a disorder, but there's a phenomenon of sexual attraction to ghosts or sexual arousal to ghosts, So it's, I guess, in a way, it's considered a fetish. And there's definitely, I mean, you'll see those news stories of the women who claim to, have ghost lovers. I remember, wasn't there one in the news not that long ago who said that, she was having this love affair with some dead pirate or something. But then later they broke up because he was cheating on her. If you were seeing it when you were awake and you really believed you were having sex with a ghost and you were having a relationship with a ghost, then I would say you need to go talk to a good therapist. Because it's a dream, I mean, who am I to say it's not real?
Well, do you know what, Caroline? Every time in my life that I've fallen in love, it's been preceded by a dream of the person I'm about to meet.
Mm.
So I'll have a dream, I'll fall in love in my dream, I'll wake up and go, oh, I'm not in love anymore. That person's not real. Oh, that's a shame. I really like them. But then I just have this knowingness that I was about to meet them in real life. Mm-hmm. And every single time I did. And even the job would be the same. So in the dream, the guy would have a job and then I'd meet the person and that would be their job. So you could be having sex with a ghost of someone who's died, or you could be just dreaming about having sex. Another option is that when you saw his photo, it changed your memory of the dream to match it. So it could have just been a dream of some guy. You could be dreaming about a guy you're about to meet.
Yeah, I agree.
And wouldn't that be cool if you could meet your perfect guy, he looked just like that, and when you meet him, your unconscious has prepared you for him. It's got you ready. It's saying, look, he's coming, better get ready, better get used to somebody that beautiful, paying you all this attention and loving you.
Yeah.
And guess what? If he's doing if that's what's happening to you, it's going to happen the same for him. So when he meets you, he's going to recognize you as well.
Yeah, I like that explanation the best out of all of them. But I don't see any scenario where you're actually crazy.
Yeah, I think it's normal. If you don't think your family is receptive to talking about that thing, I mean, I wouldn't talk to my family about sex dreams anyway, even if they were just regular. So don't feel bad about not being able to talk to your family about it.
Yeah.
And if you can't talk to your friends about that, then I would suggest getting some new friends.
Yeah, exactly. And your friends might be more open than you think. But I mean, what you could say is, God, I've just had this really crazy dream about this guy living in the house and we had this amazing sex. And then the neighbor just tells me, I mean, no wonder they got a bargain on the house. Sounds like the family just moved out quickly. And obviously what's going on in the world, it'd be hard to kind of sell a house at the moment. Yeah. And just say, and it's just so weird is because the woman tells me about the son that died and it looks the same photo. I wouldn't be judgmental with that.
I think your friends probably might be jealous as well if they think he's cute. I mean, it's like, would you kick Kurt Cobain out of your dreams?
Yes, I would actually.
I'm trying to think of
George Clooney? No, I would not kick him out.
There we go. So I think it's probably quite normal, and probably a lot of people have dream sex.
Yeah.
Especially people. Another thought here is, like, if you're not having sex in real life or masturbating, maybe it's just expressing through your dreams. So that's maybe something else to think about.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think your subconscious, obviously, it's creating this in some ways. So maybe it's just showing you what you're missing out on and how much you would actually enjoy taking a lover. So, yeah. When you can, start looking at dating. Because I think while you can have a lot of fun at night in your dreams, it still doesn't replace the satisfaction of a real relationship with another person.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you can have both, more power to you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Don't tell them no, because they might get jealous.
Yeah, I'd probably leave that one out.
Lover.
Are you seeing anyone else? Well, not anyone alive. Yeah. Then you might have some issues with people worrying about your mental health. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's pretty intense, and I can see why you would struggle with telling anyone. But yeah, maybe write about it. That's what I find. You could write it as a short story because it's certainly interesting.
Yeah, write it as a short story and decide. Your problem is that you can't speak about it. Mm-hmm. If you do want it to go away, as Caroline says, just ask God or ask the universe to say, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
And it will just go away. Otherwise, a repetitive dream, it's trying to speak to you about something. It's trying to give you a message as well. So once you receive that message, it's going to go away all on its own. And probably that message is going to be a real hot guy to have a relationship with in real life who's lovely.
Yeah, exactly. So very cool.
Okay. So I've got a story from somebody that's emailed me personally. Mm-hmm. And wondering if I can read that. It's not a story, sorry. It's a question. Someone wants some advice. Cool. Okay. So just listening to the most recent podcast, loving it as usual, but it did make me think of a question that I need to ask. So pretty much everyone is on lockdown, and we're in our 5th week. I thought I was dealing with things pretty well. There hasn't been a very big change to my day-to-day life, and the first 3 weeks were fine, in fact. It was even more positive. I was walking every morning, my husband and I were having quality time every day, and I was really positive. However, last week, I just got really low. I was super exhausted, so I stopped going for morning walks, and I kind of realized that although my conscious brain is telling me that everything is fine, it's okay to be a bit easier on myself, and it's acceptable to lose concentration and approach things differently, and I'm rationalizing the situation in a measured and calm manner. Obviously, my subconscious brain disagrees because I'm becoming negative and falling into self-hatred and criticism and struggling to see the good in people again. What can I do to get my conscious and subconscious brain to be more aligned? And before you respond, one thing that I think when I see that is there's an assumption at the end, a presupposition that the problem is caused by a disalignment between the conscious and unconscious, and it might not be anything to do with that.
Exactly.
So what do you think, Kim?
Yeah. Well, I personally think it's not necessarily a disconnect between the conscious and the subconscious mind. But the subconscious mind, it's like your operating system, right? So it records everything that happens to you and it makes programs out of it. And I think what's happening in the world right now is so out of our experience and out of what we know that I don't think it's necessarily that there's something wrong with the subconscious, because the subconscious has never dealt with anything like this before. Unless you've been put into prison and put into solitary confinement or it's something like that, where, I mean, I guess some people have had some type of experience with being kind of in lockdown and not being able to leave their house. I guess maybe, house arrest or something like that, or home detention. But I think that pretty much everyone is feeling the same way. And I think at first we're like, oh, we can do this and it's going to be fine. And we're all just going to stay home and this virus is going to go away. But I think there is something to that like third week, fourth week, fifth week, where it just starts to get like, what the fuck? When is this going to end? Why do I even bother? I think it's really disheartening seeing what's happening in the world. Like, I've got friends in the States who can't make any money. They can't, they don't hear back from unemployment. They haven't received their stimulus check. And they're literally freaking out, going, I'm not going to be able to afford food next week. What the fuck do I do? So I think for whoever's writing this is just focus on what you're grateful for. Focus on what's good for you. I mean, if you feel like it's an issue with your subconscious mind, then maybe look at some belief systems. You could listen to hypnosis. I mean, there's tons of different kind of just free audios that you can get. But I guess it's getting into the subconscious mind that it's all going to be okay.
Yeah, having that message at a very deep level and not just a thought, oh yeah, I'm grateful or I'm happy, like repeating it over and over and over until I'm grateful, I'm okay becomes the default. What I think when I read that is that it's more like parts, and that you could do with some parts therapy from someone that's trained to do that. Because rather than thinking conscious versus unconscious, I think everything comes from the unconscious. The conscious is just where you shine the light.
Yeah.
So you've got competing thoughts. And whenever there's an argument in your head, parts therapy is amazing for resolving that. So that would be my advice. Ask if you've got a counselor or therapist, ask them if they do parts therapy. And if they don't, find someone who does, because it would be so helpful. But
I mean, parts therapy is amazing. You need to, in order to work with parts therapy, you need to go to a trained hypnotherapist. And my advice is pick someone who is very, very good and well-trained, because I've cleaned up a lot of messes of people who have read a book on parts and don't really know what they're doing and, kick their feet around in someone's head and really kind of messed with them. But one thing you could do to work, parts is based on the premise that we all have multiple aspects to our personality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like multiple personalities. It's like a mini version of it. It's a natural phenomenon. The average person has between 5 to 7 different parts, or ego states, they also call them, or sub-personalities. So we normally have like a child part and a teenage part, and we have like a critical parent that kind of puts us down. And, we have that the teenage part can be really rebellious. There can be a part of you that, just believes that everything's going to turn to shit, right? Or that things aren't going to work out for you because it may have some experience with that of things not being okay. So you can just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and just imagine whatever part of you could be being negative, or whatever part of you is kind of going into this. And just in your head, imagine having a little conversation with them. That'd be an easy way you could do it yourself.
Yeah, actually, rather than trying to suppress the negative voice, find out what it needs and wants. Because if a part of you, in my opinion, there's no such thing as sabotage and it's very debatable. But I think when a part of you is stopping you from feeling good, it's because a different need is not being met. So it's quite obvious that a lot of people are not getting their needs met right now. The need for human interaction, the need for freedom, the need to be able, even to go shopping. Was it you, Caroline, that told me about, was it Iran during the war, or Iraq, where people would brave the snipers on the roofs to go and get their nails done after a month of isolation?
We were talking about that, weren't we? I thought you were telling me that, or was it someone else?
One of our students told us about it. She said that in the war, everyone was on lockdown in the beginning, but after a month, wants overtook needs. And that even though they needed to stay home to be safe, they just couldn't. And everybody rebelled and they started leaving and just going about their life because they just had to. And that was predicted at the beginning of the lockdown. I remember reading that week 3 is the hardest, and from there, people are going to start rebelling and going out. And if you're staying at home and you're conforming, it doesn't make it easy. Like if you're just out of your normal routine. And as Caroline says, this is so different. I think it's absolutely natural and normal to be depressed or to feel negative feelings. And as you say, go easy on yourself. Realize that this is finite. This will end. And when it ends, you'll get back on track. Don't worry if things set you back a little bit, because it's natural that things are going to set you back. Gosh, my diet took a bit of a backwards track the first few weeks.
Hello. Same.
And then I realized, I can't wait for lockdown to end to get this back on track. So I've done it now. But hey, we're all suffering in different ways. Some people more than others, and send love to that part.
And I think, I'm seeing these posts on Facebook where people are like, oh, now's the time that you write your book and you start your new business and you get a super hot body and you do the perfect diet and blah, 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 because now you have all this time. And I think if you don't feel like doing that stuff, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just take it easy. Yeah. Relax. I think we put all this pressure on ourselves that we have to be perfect and do everything the way that we should do it, rather than the way, we are doing it or the way we want to do it. And then we feel bad about ourselves and then we beat ourselves up and it goes into this terrible cycle. So I think that, now is a time that you can absolutely do something new if you want to, but it's also a time where you can just kind of take it easy and relax and feel sorry for yourself. But I think that if you want to, because I think collectively, there's just a huge amount of pain going on in the world. There's pain for the people who are, losing their businesses or their livelihood. There's pain for the people that are getting sick, the people that have lost loved ones. There's just a lot of pain. And I think that's a very heavy energy that you can't help but pick up on that. And if you're a sensitive person, it's just one of those things. So I think feeling it, naming it, saying it out loud. We've talked about that before, of when you name how you're feeling and you say it out loud, actually the amygdala calms down and you're able to shift it. So it's good that they're expressing how they feel, and this too shall pass. Everything changes. That's the one thing you can guarantee.
And one thing I've got to say, treat yourself to a session with Caroline, or if you want
or you.
Yeah, or me. If you want a hypnotherapist in the UK, then, email again and I'll give you a couple of recommendations. I know a couple that are just really, really expensive, so I want to do some more research to some more moderate ones as well, rather than the celebrity ones.
Yeah, there's definitely, and just because someone is outrageously expensive doesn't necessarily mean that they're that good. That's my advice. I know some people who charge $10,000 a session, and I would not rate their hypnotherapy skills. So, that sounds really bad. And hopefully these people aren't listening to me right now. When people charge an exorbitant amount of money, a lot of times that's actually a marketing ploy, that they have hardly any clients, but what they're doing is selling products. And that's, I sell products. I'm not cheap to see. But I'm also not you don't have to take out a loan to have a session with me either. Whereas some people, it's just nuts.
Yeah. Crazy.
But there's all kinds of therapists. There's coaches. It's finding someone you align with.
It is. I still think for this, when there's that big argument in the head, nothing beats parts therapy or hypnotherapy. Mm-hmm. That's my thoughts on that. But
I would agree.
Yeah. So, any book recommendations today?
Well, actually, I started reading this book because I have been researching 5 Million Diets, as I do, because yes, for the first 3 weeks of the lockdown, I started making bread every day. I don't know why the fuck I've done that, because I've always told everyone wheat is the devil and haven't eaten it for years. And then suddenly I'm eating it every day, even though it was organic, stone ground, unbleached, unprocessed wheat. It still has had an effect on my ass. And so I bought this workout program. And in it, and why I was attracted to it was the woman talks about, and I can't even remember what the hell the name of the workout program is. It was like came with a diet and a workout program. What drew me to it was the fact that she said that we should have carbs in our diet and have fruit. And she's even like recommending fruit juice and a lot of fruit and even sugar and milk in your coffee. And I was like, what the fuck? And so of course I had to like check it out. So I did, and I glanced over it, and that seemed okay. But she talks about in this program about how her work is very much based on a man named Dr. Pete. But I kind of went down this wormhole of research, and I found this book on Kindle or Amazon. It's called How to Heal Your Metabolism. It's by Kate Deering, which is, obviously Kate, but it's spelled Deering. And she talks about, so stop blaming aging for your slowing metabolism. And in it, she talks a lot about the thyroid and why our metabolisms the way they are. And I know for myself, when I was younger, I ate tons of fruit. I ate carbs. I exercised a lot, but I was fucking skinny, at least for a while.
Yeah.
And it wasn't from doing a low carb diet. I wasn't doing intermittent fasting. I did avoid wheat and sugar, but I ate a lot of the other stuff, and I was able to maintain quite a low weight quite easily. And I think that once I hit my 40s and I thought my metabolism slowing down, then I've been trying every fucking diet under the sun, like keto and intermittent fasting and Whole30. Whole30 is one that definitely I found worked for me. But this book is really interesting. It kind of like puts everything on its head. And she talks a lot about body temperature and thyroid and how we do need some kind of sugar and carbohydrates in our diet. And I know for myself, when I do keto, yes, I lose weight, but my brain just about dies. And my hormones go out of whack, and I can't sleep. And so I just know for me that keto just doesn't work.
So I'm just a bit suspicious of someone saying put sugar and milk in your coffee. I get the fruit.
Okay, well, this book I'm not sure. That was the program that I had bought that led me down to find this book, right? So I haven't read enough of it to actually know. She's got a great kind of backstory, though. She talks about, she starts out saying that she was in the fitness industry and that all the diets she did, and she would work out for 2 hours a day, and she had a drug addiction, and which I kind of really related to her because she's not going, I've always been in amazing shape and this is the way you should diet, right? Like she's very real and open with her own journey. She so far has not said that you should eat sugar, but they do talk about. One thing that got me was she was talking about how there's certain foods that are very kind of harmful to the metabolism. And it was like soy, which I have soy milk every freaking day in my coffee, almond, walnuts. It was basically half my diet was like, oh, well, here she's saying the importance of carbohydrates, especially sugar, which crazy. I don't know. Who knows? I haven't tried this diet, but I think there's possibly something to it. I don't know.
So we'll see. Interested to see if there's science behind it or if it's just all her theory. So I'd be keen to read that. What was the book again?
How to Heal Your Metabolism by Kate Deering.
I'm going to check it out because so often we get these diet books from somebody that has this great new theory about diet. And then when I try and look at the science behind it, it's like, bullshit. That's just a story someone's telling. But at the same time, I have to agree that I don't think that carbs are the enemy. I just don't. Not in and of themselves. I don't think we should be excluding single food groups, a specific food group from our diet, carb, protein, or fat. I mean, we should keep all the macros in. But yet, you don't have to have heaps and heaps of refined white flour and refined white sugar. But surely fruit. We've been living off of it for millennia. It's got to be okay for you.
Yeah, she was saying, this woman is saying sugar, importance of carbohydrates, especially sugar.
Ooh. I
don't know. I'm going to, again, use myself as a guinea pig and try it out and just see what happens. Because she really, she's really talking about kind of, especially for people as they hit that late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, how it really just, the weight starts piling on. I know for me, I could, you just go on a diet for 2 weeks and you lose your weight. And, and now it's like, I went on a diet for a year and I lost a couple of pounds. You're like, great.
Yeah, it does get harder. I used to be like a twig and I could eat whatever I wanted. But at the same time, I didn't drive. And so I walked and cycled a lot and I was on my feet for my job. And I probably skipped meals too. So
And did you eat sugar?
Yeah, I lived off of sugar. I lived off of sugar.
And you were skinny.
I was skinny. And I also ate lots of fat. A typical lunch for me going through high school would be 5 chocolate-filled donuts.
Oh, my God.
Or deep-fried pizza and chips. No, serious. Absolutely, 100% serious. But
deep-fried pizza and chips. Only the Scottish. I mean, what do you guys not deep fry?
Oh, we deep fry everything. And if you haven't tried deep-fried pizza and you have a healthy heart, I'd say give it a go.
Do they batter it or do they just deep fry it?
So they batter it, deep fry it, and then it comes out in its batter. And in my town, it was called a pizza crunch, and it was 70 pence. And you got your pizza crunch and your chips, and then you'd put salt, sauce, and vinegar on top of the pizza. And
oh my God.
Oh, it was good. The thing is,
and then you had a heart attack and died. Yeah. No, sorry.
No, but that's probably why in the UK, they have a high death rate from COVID. Is the diet absolutely sucks over there. You cannot buy vegetables hardly. Well, it's not like my time in California where I actually couldn't find vegetables.
In California?
Yeah. Well, I was staying in Anaheim.
Oh, yeah.
And I got very, very sick, and I just craved vegetables. I was like, I need vegetables, and couldn't find any anywhere. Eventually ordered some potato soup from this place, and it got it to my apartment, and it had an inch of oil from melted cheese on the top. I was like, oh, thank God for Starbucks. They discovered Starbucks does a big, massive salad. You could have just a big, massive salad with tuna. I'm like, that's all I ate for the rest of my stay in the USA. Anaheim
is
it's tourist central.
It'd be nice. It's a touristy. Yeah. I don't know anyone who actually lives in Anaheim, and it's just, there's just really fast food. But, it's funny, whenever I go back to the States, I'm always like, a lot of the food just isn't as good as obviously, fine dining, and there are some great restaurants. And I think things have really changed in the past few years of really a health bent. But at the same time, here, a large Coke is the same as a small in the US.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, you basically need your passenger seat to be a cup holder when you get an extra large, right? It's a bucket of soft drink. Are people quite overweight in Scotland?
Yeah, I think so. What I noticed, I don't know if I can say this, I noticed that the men turn into eggs like Humpty Dumpty. They all go bald and get round and big at the waist. And I remember going back to my hometown and going, everybody's Humpty Dumpty because they don't work out, they eat badly, they go bald and get overweight. And that's fine, be bald, be overweight. But when the whole nation is like that, there's something going on with the diet, and the diet is bad. But what I notice is I went back in 2009 for 6 months, and I actually lost weight while eating the bad diet. So I went back to my old diet because I'm kind of on holiday in inverted commas.
Yeah.
And I was eating bacon buddies and pancakes with bacon and maple syrup and drinking lots of beer. And I was losing weight. And I think it's because it was so fucking cold there that my body needed to use all that calories to generate heat to keep me warm. So
yeah, that makes sense.
But once you've got your first few layers of warmth, you don't need to generate the heat as much, and then you take off, become a Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah. Well, I think it's all about, you can be freezing cold and overweight, and it just shows, in this book, they talk a lot about how to rev up the metabolism. So you don't necessarily lose weight right away, but she's saying, what's 6 months of changing your habits and not losing weight and have a lifetime of actually being the weight that you want, compared to doing a quick fix now and just gaining it all back within 6 months. So, which is a good point. And we're doing something wrong because everyone is getting fatter. So something in the world is happening.
Yep.
And it's normally what you put in your mouth.
Yep. Unless it's a penis, that they're not fattening.
Well, Depends on what you put on it, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, okay. Yeah, we won't go down that road. So do you have any recommendations, Daryl?
I do. And I've been a fan of War of the Worlds since I was a kid. The Jeff Wayne musical version of it. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
And anyway, so when this book came out, I was completely excited. And I had it up just before and it completely just disappeared. But it's called The Massacre of Mankind. And it is...
It's happening now. No.
Yep. And it's by Stephen Baxter. And what I understand is that the War of Worlds was under some kind of copyright or whatever. But the second that it ended, this book was ready to be published as a sequel. So it's like an unofficial sequel to the War of the Worlds. And in this book, the initial attack by the Martians that the first book was about was actually just like a testing, just to check the Earth out, see what the defenses was like. And then 20 years later, the whole Martian army was coming to take over the world. And this time it doesn't just hit one place. So it's all over the world, all at once. And let's just say it involves more than one kind of alien. I listened to the audiobook, and the lady that read it was just amazing. So Massacre of Mankind, if you're a fan of alien invasion, then give it a go. It's really different from every other, big spaceship hovers above New York movie or books that you've read before. It's quite different. So yeah, that's my recommendation.
Wow. Okay. I'll have to check it out. Because didn't they just show that there's videos of UFO? Hasn't NASA just come out and say, oh yeah, by the way, UFOs are real? And did that happen, or did I dream that?
What they did, a UFO doesn't mean an alien, right? It means unidentified flying object. And so, yes, there are some objects from the Navy or the Air Force.
No, it's the Pentagon. It's the Pentagon. Yep.
Release. I'm a bit suspicious about the timing of this release. I don't know. There's meaning that they're releasing evidence of UFOs while we're in this global lockdown. It just feels very conveniently timed. I don't know if there's anything good or bad about it, but yeah.
Well, that's what the government does, right? Or several governments, that when there's something really huge going on in the news, they will drop other things. So that it's kind of
buried.
Everyone's focused on this, and they're like, okay, oh, here, by the way, aliens are real, and, we have video, but, don't worry about that because there's a massive pandemic. And we all go, oh, aliens? Anyways. And you don't really notice. For that to not be holy shit, okay. Well, have you ever seen a UFO?
My whole family saw one. We were in Scotland driving to the airport. So I know that you're going to think maybe it was a plane, but what it was a light that moved so strangely that we don't know what it was. And it literally was this bright light in the sky, colored, and it zigzagged really fast, really high, up, down, in the sky. And we've just racked our brains for years, that's not the movement of a plane. It's not the movement of a helicopter, not the movement of a bird. Pretty sure UFOs wouldn't even move like that. So, but we don't know what it was. And it was before everybody had laser pointers. This is back in the 80s that we saw that.
Yeah.
And there's an area close by that has a lot of sightings of UFOs.
Because they have a lot here too. I saw a UFO when I was probably, 19. I was with a friend and we had driven up on this hill. And this is when I lived in Marin County in California. So Northern California, the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge. So we had driven up on this hill to smoke a joint and look out on the water. Yeah. So it gave this really amazing, beautiful, 360 view of the city and the bay in front of us and all the lights. And it was a great spot to go and smoke a joint. And so we're sitting there, we're smoking this joint, and we see this thing fly through the sky. And we're like, what the fuck is that? And it was had the lights kind of like a helicopter or something. It was orange and green, these lights. It came, and then it went straight down, and it went into the water and went under the water and then came back up. And we were like, Wah! We fucking drove away so quick. It wasn't even funny because we panicked that bad. And we were going to a party that was just literally right down the road. And so we go there and we're freaking out going, we saw a UFO. And everyone's like, oh, whatever. You smell like weed. You're probably high. And we were like, no, we definitely did. And because it was like, what flies like that, flies down, flies underwater, and then flies back up, it was just, and the lights were going under the water. Either that or someone had some weird ass drone. But this was like 25 years ago, right? Like,
we didn't have drones then.
No. So it was crazy. But the next day, front page of the paper, they said, meteorite causes thousands of UFO sighting calls last night. Mm-hmm. And they said, it's just a meteorite that fell into the San Francisco Bay, and all these people delusionally thought it was a UFO. And I'm like, bull. So they got thousands of calls of all the people seeing the same thing. They were like, oh no, it's just a meteor falling into the ocean. But it was not a meteor. It flew across the sky, down and underwater, and then came back out. A meteor would just fall and crash, right? So I don't know. But anyways, it was weird.
I mean, it's very convenient. There was an asteroid. They're going to cover that up if they don't want you to know. And they're going to say meteorite because
well, in those days, who had you'd have to like pull out this, big lunky video camera to be able to spot that in time. They didn't have, like today, anyone can be taking photos in seconds. So they didn't have that. So if no one saw it, I don't know. Weird. I think
it's kind of good now that everybody's got a camera on their phone. So if there is like a real visitation, we're going to be able to get more than one person get videos of it. And, I was thinking about the tsunami in Japan. How much footage there is of it because everybody has a phone camera.
Yeah, exactly.
And nobody got to see how traumatic and bad these natural disasters can be until modern day. And I think it's the same. Any like ghost sightings or UFO sightings, we're going to get multiple views of it when it happens.
Yeah. They have a lot here. I've had several clients that, you regress them and they, had UFO experiences and some really actually, I talk about one on one of the other podcasts, and that just, holy shit, pretty traumatic.
Let's do that. Let's, next podcast, let's talk about UFOs because probably we're going to have to go shortly because we're probably taking a long time.
Yeah, we've been talking a while. Yeah, we'll talk about that next time. And if you have any UFO stories or any weird stories or anything you need advice about, feel free to write us. If you like this podcast, share it with your friends. And that way we can, help more people if possible or annoy them.
Yeah, or annoy them. If you want to get your hands on a voodoo dick, just get in touch.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that doesn't sound appealing to me. I have a voodoo dick of my own that I have to swap back into its box. Yeah, no. His name is Grant. No, I'm just kidding. Love you, babe. So, well, that's us for today. And it was great to talk to you as usual, Daryl. And we'll be, getting together soon.
Great chatting. Thanks for writing in with that advice, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Aside from my soul,